Have you ever stopped and wondered why your workplace is set up the way it is? You know, why some meetings work and others are a total disaster? Or why one boss can make you feel like you can conquer the world while another just doesn't? Well, today we're going to take a trip back in time to see exactly how we got from there to here. It's an incredible story about how we think about people at work.
So let's start by painting a picture. First, imagine a factory floor back in 1850. The air's thick, the machines are absolutely deafening, and you've got these strict supervisors watching your every move. It's a tough, unforgiving environment, all about one thing: output. Your personal needs, your well-being, totally off the radar. Now let's jump to today. We've got open, collaborative offices, teams working together from all over the globe, and companies are obsessed with things like motivation and culture. I mean, the difference is just night and day.
So, what happened? What drove this massive change? Sure, technology was a huge part of it, no doubt. But the real revolution, the thing that truly reshaped the world of work, wasn't about the machines we built. It was about how we started to understand the people who were running them.
To really get it, we have to go back to the very beginning of modern management. This was an era where the worker was seen as, well, just another part of the machine. It was all about the hunt for ultimate efficiency.
And leading this charge was an engineer named Frederick Winslow Taylor. He looked at the chaos of the factories around him and thought, "This is crazy. We can do better." His big idea, which was pretty radical at the time, was to stop relying on old habits and guesswork. Instead, he said we should use science to find the one best way to do every single job.
And what's fascinating is how he turned this into a whole system. Okay, so first, you scientifically study the job itself. We're talking time and motion studies, to find that single most efficient method. Then, you find the perfect worker and train them for that one specific task, and only that task. Next, you motivate them with a super simple deal. The more you produce, the more you get paid. And finally, and this is key, you create a hard line between managers and workers. Managers do all the thinking and planning, workers just execute, period. This system completely transformed industries. Think of the Ford assembly line.
But this obsession with efficiency, it came at a massive cost. As one analysis put it, workers were treated as mere cogs in a machine. Their feelings, their social needs, their psychological well-being, none of that mattered. It was all just noise in the quest for maximum production.
But then something totally unexpected happened. A series of experiments, which were actually designed to squeeze even more efficiency out of workers, stumbled onto a discovery that changed absolutely everything. The human factor was about to take center stage.
All right, let's talk about the Hawthorne studies. So between 1924 and 1932, a group of researchers went to the Western Electric Factory out in Illinois. Their goal was straight out of the scientific management playbook. They wanted to see if changing physical things, like how bright the lights were, could make workers more productive. It was supposed to be a really simple, straightforward experiment.
But the results were just weird. Productivity shot up when they made the lights brighter. Okay, makes sense. But then it also went up when they dimmed the lights back down. It went up when workers got more breaks, and get this, it still went up when they took those breaks away. No matter what the researchers did, performance just kept getting better. They were completely stumped.
And this led them to an absolutely stunning conclusion. The thing that was making the biggest difference wasn't the lighting or the brakes. It was the attention. The workers were performing better simply because somebody was paying attention to them, because they felt seen and valued. This incredible phenomenon became known as the Hawthorne effect.
I mean, this was a total game changer. The Hawthorne studies basically blew the doors open on this idea that social and psychological stuff often matters way more than physical conditions. Just being seen and recognized, a hugely powerful motivator. They also saw that the informal social groups, your work friends, had a massive impact on performance, way more than the official rules. And a supervisor who was actually engaged, that boosted morale and productivity like crazy. This discovery pretty much launched the entire human relations movement.
So, once managers had this light bulb moment that people were the real key, the next big question was obvious, right? What actually motivates them? The hunt was on to understand what makes people tick, and to find something that went deeper than just a paycheck.
And a huge piece of this new puzzle came from a psychologist you've probably heard of, Abraham Maslow. He came up with his now famous hierarchy of needs. It's his theory that says we're all driven to fulfill a series of needs, kind of in order, starting with the really basic survival stuff and moving all the way up to becoming the best version of ourselves.
And here's how you can see this pyramid play out at work every single day. Think of it like a ladder. At the very bottom, you've got your basic physiological needs, which are met by a fair salary. Once that's covered, you can climb up to safety, things like job security and benefits. Only then can you start to really focus on belonging, which you get from good teamwork and feeling part of the culture. Above that is esteem, the need to be recognized for your work. And right at the top is self-actualization, that drive to tackle challenging projects and grow. The big takeaway for any manager is this: you can't motivate someone with a cool new project if they're stressed about making rent. You've got to meet the needs at the bottom first.
This new focus on what makes people tick was captured perfectly by Douglas McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y. A Theory X manager has that old-school, pessimistic view. People are fundamentally lazy, they hate work, and you have to control them. That's the worker as a machine mindset, right? But a Theory Y manager, they're an optimist. They believe people can actually find joy in their work, that they're naturally motivated, and that they'll thrive if you just give them some responsibility. That is the human factor mindset in a nutshell.
So this whole journey, from scientific management to human relations, it isn't just a fun history lesson. It's literally the foundation of how almost every successful modern organization tries to operate today. So why does this stuff still matter so much now?
Well, because this deep understanding of people, what we now call organizational behavior, is absolutely essential. It's the science behind building great teams and helping a company navigate massive changes. It's the blueprint for creating inclusive cultures where everyone feels like they belong. And it's how we develop leaders who empower people instead of just commanding them. At the end of the day, almost every big, complicated business problem has a human problem right at its core.
It all boils down to this one simple, powerful truth. You can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, the most advanced tech, but every single organization is fundamentally built on its people. Its success or failure hangs entirely on how well you understand, motivate, and value them.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. As things like artificial intelligence and automation continue to completely redefine what work even looks like, the lessons from the past are more important than ever. The next great challenge won't be about the technology itself, but about us. So what do you think will be the next great shift in how we understand the human factor at work?